Am I the a-hole for not giving up my second free seat next to me in the plane? I am obese. Like I am comfortable having 2 seats in the plane type of obese. I am well aware of that and I really don't like to bother people with my weight. A week ago I was going to a conference by plane and because I was going alone, usually when I fly with my boyfriend I don't buy 2 since he sits next to me, I bought 2 seats. I fit in one but my side is usually touching the person next to me and I feel uncomfortable for them. It happened to me that they gave me nasty looks and I felt extremely uncomfortable the whole flight. So I sat down in the plane and put the armrest up so I would be really comfortable. Some couple came and they both sat next to me because they got separate seats and they noticed the seat next to me was empty. Exactly what I was afraid of happened. My side kept touching the guy next to me and he even pushed me a bit when he moved in the seat. I was feeling extremely uncomfortable and asked him if he could go to his seat because I bought this one for my comfort. He told me no, since the seat is empty and he wants to be with his girlfriend. Well, I told him I understand but I feel uncomfortable and I paid for the second seat so exactly this doesn't happen. He refused again and started to chat with his GF. I called the flight attendant and quietly told her what is happening. She asked the guy to leave my second seat and he and his GF gave me a nasty look. The GF mumbled something like freaking fat bitch under her breath but nothing directly to me. So am I the asshole for insisting on him to leave? Not the a-hole former flight attendant. It's your seat. You paid for it. If that classless couple wanted to sit together that badly, they should have paid for seats together. Not the a-hole. But probably could have been handled a bit better by letting him know the seat was purchased / showing the ticket before he sat in it. Am I the a-hole for no longer speaking around my niece? English is my third language. I'm an immigrant, married into a predominantly white family. I think I'm fluent enough. I still have an accent and likely will for the rest of my life, and sometimes I lost handle on grammar when speaking too quickly or when I'm stressed. My in-laws are for the most part neutral about me, at least when I'm around. However, there has been a few instances of them showing disappointment in their son for marrying not only another man, but an immigrant one. Listing them would take too much space and isn't completely relevant. Just their existence is. Husband's sister, my sister-in-law, had her first daughter last year. Now that the economy is stabilizing, she wants to go back to the workforce to help her family get back on track. Brother-in-law was laid off and had to find lower-paying job. In-laws has been taking turn babysitting her daughter while she's job hunting, including husband and I. We usually have her on Thursday afternoon, right before her nap. 3 weeks ago, while babysitting, mother-in-law and father-in-law came over to visit. Niece was being fussy, so I rocked her in my arm and sang her a lullaby in one of my native tongues as I usually do while she's being fussy in my care. Mother-in-law didn't exactly snatch her out of my arms, but it was a close thing. She told me off for using foreign languages that will mess up her language development. Like I said, this was the last of a long list of passive-aggressive behavior from her part, so when husband's mom did absolutely nothing as usual, I said that it's alright, and that I just won't speak around her so she doesn't pick up my accent and mispronunciation and wrong stressings. That's exactly what I've been doing since then. Whenever we have her over or if we're visiting sister-in-law or we met on a get-together, I only respond with a nod, a shrug, or a head shake, sometimes hum or other such noises. Husband is upset, of course, but when I point out that mother-in-law has nothing to complain about since I did that, he always shuts up. A couple of days ago, sister-in-law's friend was visiting when we came over for dinner. As usual, I became nonverbal while in my niece's vicinity. Sister-in-law's friend noticed and, very politely, asked if it would be helpful if she signs while speaking. I was honest, and told her quietly that I have an accent and don't want to affect my niece's speech. Things were very awkward afterwards, rightfully so, and when we got back home, husband and I got into a very big fight over this. He said I'm being childish, which I was, under the orders of his mother. We haven't spoken to each other since. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Racist folks always get real awkward when confronted with their subtle racism. You are being childish, this is between you and your mother-in-law, I don't know why your niece has to suffer. Also, what is your mother-in-law on because children growing up in a bilingual household have far better language skills than those in a monolingual one. Am I the a-hole for snapping and telling a girl that she's not important enough for me to flex being fluent in languages? Okay, basically, I speak 3 languages, Slovak, my native language, English and Spanish, both of which I learned as a teen/adult but I am fluent in. Currently, I, female, 20, live in the US where I moved for college. I was having picnic with some of my friends and some people I didn't really know, friends of a friend kind of situation. I speak English with one of the British accents and I don't think they realized it wasn't my native tongue. Anyway, my mom called me and I excused myself to answer and tell her that I'll call her back later. She doesn't speak English so obviously, I spoke in my native tongue. One of the people there, one of those friend of a friend people, Paulina, kept looking at me when I was talking but didn't say anything. When we were done with our picnic, We were walking towards our campus and a tourist approached us asking for directions, but she didn't speak English, she spoke Spanish. Some people looked at Paulina, but she just shrugged her arms and ignored the person asking for directions. So I ended up helping and giving the directions. Paulina wasn't impressed and told me to stop flexing speaking languages because it's a pathetic way to show off. Well, I wasn't trying to flex anything. I was just going about my day, so I told Paulina that she wasn't important enough for me to flex anything in front of her and to get off her high horse. She got angry and told me I was an a-hole, and her friend agreed with her. I was later told that Paulina's parents are Mexican, but she doesn't speak Spanish, and this is probably why she was annoyed with me. And I do feel kind of bad for snapping at her. Am I the a-hole for snapping and telling her she's not important enough? Not the a-hole. Not really sure why she thought you were flexing, but you just responded to questions asked in different languages. She sounds jealous. Not the a-hole F Paulina. She's a non-factor in your day-to-day life. She's clearly jealous and bothered that she is denying part of who she really is. She doesn't feel Spanish. What? And you being 100% yourself drives her crazy. BC, she doesn't like who she is. You did nothing wrong, handled it perfectly and put her in her place. Misery loves company, we don't subscribe to that. Am I the a-hole for revealing my sister's truth to a family member that made everyone lose their shit on my parents and her? She, 40 female, has been ignoring me, 21 male, for 5 months since finding out. That Grace is not my sister. She's my biological mom, and after finding this out my whole life's been a freaking mess. My parents pretended to be my parents because from what they told me it was better that way for everyone since Grace wasn't ready to be a mom. I've been wanting to hear her side ever since, but she decided to block me. My parents have talked to her because Grace wants to drop this and not being this to her husband. They live in another state, so they're not close at all, but she basically didn't want this getting to her husband. I kept asking her to PLS just sit down with me once to hear her side. But she's been silent ever since. Why I'm asking if I'm an asshole is because the other weekend me and my cousin had beers at his house. Me being drunk AF, I started crying about everything going. He asked me what's wrong and I told him everything. Shit blew up. Nobody in my family knew about this. He texted his mom that same night. Next morning I'm waking up to everyone blowing up my phone, even my parents too. Now everybody in the family knows, and they've even reached out to Grace on my behalf telling her if I want to talk to her then she owes me at least that. This whole thing couldn't be kept a secret from her husband. He knows now too because she called my parents crying because they had a big fight. He's so mad he's staying at his parents'. She's saying it's my fault now for not letting it go. And now it seemed like everything in her life is falling apart. Including my parents, because everyone's coming down on them too for lying this whole time. I know none of that would have happened if it hadn't been for me saying something. But also feel that after being the one who got lied to I was owed some answers too. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You didn't reveal her truth, you revealed your truth. You're allowed to share whatever details about your life that you want. I know this is not going to be popular, but hear me out. Everyone sucks here. The reason I feel this way is because it's not just your story to tell. You have no idea behind the circumstances behind your conception. You don't know if telling you her story relives a trauma for her that she is not ready or willing to deal with. Does it suck that you don't get the answers you're looking for? Yes. But life isn't always fair or neat, and you don't always get to have the closure you want or deserve. Am I the a-hole for not waking my husband up for his 5 a.m. walk? So for the past month, my 36 husband, 39, has waking up at 5 every night to have a walk. These walks would take about 2 hours. Side note to mention that this new, he's not trying to lose weight, pretty thin, he's not athletic by nature nor has sports interests or hobbies. In fact, he hated doing any type of sport. I'm happy for him since it's an overall positive thing. But yesterday, he came home in the evening after working for long hours, then stayed up late playing with his phone. I went to bed at 10 after getting done with the mess and everything. I woke up by him yelling at me at 7 a.m. asking me why I didn't wake him up for his 5 a.m. walk. He said he missed it and I'm responsible for that. I was so confused. I said that first of all, he always wakes up by setting his alarm. Why should I be expected to wake him up this time? He yelled that he forgot to set his alarm. I said, so what? It's no big deal. It's not like he missed an important meeting or something, but he got more angry and said that those walks help improve his health and restore his energy and help him feel better. I made a comment about how missing one walk won't hurt, but he unloaded on yelling about how I was trying to prevent him from doing his hobby for some unknown reason. I told him he was sorely mistaken, even though I admit that those daily 5 a.m. walks around the Veterans Park are weird, but also his reaction? I really thought it was over the top. He stormed off and went to shower saying I ruined his entire day. When he got out he started avoiding and ignoring me, even when I talked to him directly. He went to work and refused to respond to my calls. Really, I'm at a loss, like maybe it was something I said about his walks, but I really don't know. He's sulking nonstop as of now and I'm literally about to lose my mind. Am I the a-hole? Perhaps I'm crazy, but tomorrow I'd wake up at 5 a.m. as well, just to see where exactly he goes on those morning walks. But again, Perhaps I'm crazy. Not the Ahole. But apologize for how you talked about his walks and say you want to go next time. If he fights you, you know something strange is going on, like the other commenters said. Because I agree something sketchy is def going on. Who needs a 2-hour walk at 5 a.m. alone? Am I the a-hole for telling my husband it's time to hash things out with my mom? I know this gonna sound weird, but I'm literally struggling with it. So my husband and my mom don't get on. Like at all. They fight constantly. Admittedly, mom is the one who usually starts, but my husband also a skeleton refuses to let it go every time. It's exhausting for the entire family, and they don't even fight over something worthy, they just nitpick each other's words. My husband told me many times that the solution would be that he stops going with me over to mom's house. I refused this solution because it's not practical nor is fit for long term. Besides, I don't feel comfortable attending family functions by myself like I'm single. My suggestion is for him to try to ignore her at least, and he said he would try. On Mother's Day dinner, mom noticeably started commenting on my husband's mother, implying that she hated her children and isn't proud to be a mom just because she refused to celebrate with them. My husband wanted to respond but whispered to him to let it go and stay calm. And he did. He still looked visibly upset but didn't say a word, which made me think that my solution worked. But I was wrong. Once we got home, he followed me to the bedroom and said, "Listen, I am never ever going back to that house ever again after all the shit your mom done." I sighed and didn't say anything till he started throwing a fit about me watching my mom insult his and not wanting him to react. I snapped and told him he was acting childishly. He asked how, and I told him by giving out threats and saying he won't go with me to my mom's house again. He tried to make excuses, saying my mom created this situation and tried to put all blame on her. I told him he's no saint either. He has his moments and has a habit of letting things get this far. He said that I was the one who let things get this far by not setting my mom straight. I told him his problem is with her and that it's time that hash things out with her once and for all, just him and her. He sorta looked like I just offended him and told me I was wrong because this is my mom and it's my job to put a stop to her shenanigans and get her to understand that he was sick and tired of her bullshit. I told him he's an adult, why should I defend him while he hides behind me? He was like, okay. Don't get involved in the problem, but don't tell me how to deal with it, then walked out and stopped talking to me. He took the couch, which made me think that he was punishing me for something I didn't do. Am I the a-hole? Okay, so your mother starts shit. And you ask your husband not to defend himself. And then you refuse to defend him either. In this scenario, just who is supposed to be putting a stop to your mother's shit? The answer appears to be no one. He should just shut up and take it, forever, and at that point, yes, you're the a-hole. Honestly? Everyone sucks here. Mom sucks for obvious reasons, your husband sucks for matching the energy, and you suck for not standing up to your mom and putting an end to it. While they may have a particular reason as to why your mom started nitpicking, it's your mom, and you need to stand up to her to show your husband that you give a shit. I think you should try his solution of him not going, and you take that time to talk with your mom.